All right, so I'm not sharing my screen this time. I wanted to talk about a question that I get asked. This is more of like an opener. It's a question that I get asked pretty much every year. So far this year, I have not gotten asked this, did not get this asked to me yet. Maybe I won't, and I'll be excited not to be asked this question. And if you heard me ask this question in the past, it's okay. This is not the whole topic for tonight, but I wanted to at least express it. I have been, especially over the past 2 years, I for sure was asked this question. So the question was like this. Somebody said, Noach, Rabbi, look, it really does not work for my family. I have, 3 kids away at college. I have 1 kid at home. My parents can't come, around Pesach time. The kids' spring break does not line up this year with Passover. So what we're going to do is either beforehand or a month afterwards, when all the kids are back home from the semester, we're going to do a Pesach Seder then. We're not doing a Pesach Seder now. We want to do a Pesach Seder later when we have the family together. It's about the family. We want the family to be together. Want to give over the Passover story and talk about it and sing all the great songs and have some brisket, right? And, some manischewitz and matzo ball soup, right? These are things that we need to have and want to do with the family. So what are your thoughts, Noach, on us doing Passover in a month from now? We'll do a Lag BaOmer time instead of doing it on Nisan.
Pesach Sheni.
That's the question that I'm asked. Yeah. So, so the answer I generally give. Now, if you want to do discussion, we could have maybe people could offer their answers, but the answer that I have given in the past is like this. I tell them like this. I say, look, if you're looking for family time, which of course I'm never going to tell someone they shouldn't have family time. You want a nice family experience. You want to connect with the family. You want the family to connect with you. You want to give something over to your family. Okay, yes, have a party. Have a party, have a dinner, right? And you want to sing your songs. You want to have your Passover food then, have your Passover food then. That's wonderful. It's very nice. But if you want to have a discussion about allowing you and your family and beyond to connect with what Passover is about, and what Passover is supposed to accomplish for us, what the opportunity that we have with Pesach, that can only be accomplished on Pesach, on Seder night. I think then we may have discussed this a little bit one of the nights. So it can only happen on Pesach. There are certain things that are being sent down from the satellites up in heaven. There are certain pipelines that are opened, certain shefa, a certain flow of spiritual energy, emotional energy, physical energy that comes down these pipelines from heaven to us. And it comes when it comes on Seder night. That's when that energy is there. Many people think that we celebrate Passover in the month of Nisan because that's when the Jewish people were freed from Egypt. It's really like this. The reason why the Jewish people were freed from Egypt in Nisan is because Nisan has this energy. Nisan, the Hebrew month of Nisan, has this potential, has the strength of freedom. There is an aspect of cherut, of cherus, of freedom that can be released and that is released into the air. During this time, there's a sense of newness. It's the spring, right? It's not coincidence that there's a physical connection over here. The springtime is a physical manifestation of what's going on in the spiritual world. The fact that the Jewish people were freed at this time, they left Egypt in the month of Nisan, is because it's a time that has the segula, it's misugal, it has the strength that exists during this time. And the most powerful time for that, right, when that is coming down the strongest, is Seder night. I usually give the analogy of just imagine, DVRing there's a Super Bowl, whatever, pick your thing. This to dumb down the idea a little bit. Maybe we'll connect with it a little more, right? It's this is a good analogy. Someone thought of this last year when I was telling over this idea. It was somebody that said, I'm going to go ahead. Look, I'm running the Boston Marathon, but because of COVID, there was no physical Boston Marathon. So they were doing a virtual one. So what they do, they went and they said, no, I'm going to go run the course. They drove up to Boston and they ran the Boston Marathon course. But it wasn't the Boston Marathon. There was nobody there. All the fanfare, all the energy, the streets being closed, right? That whole, all of the excitement, all of the energy of the marathon wasn't there. And you know what? The person probably would have run a faster time. Could even be a much faster time if they had that energy, the adrenaline rush of all the energy that's being pumped into them from the music, from the fans on the side, from running next to other people that are doing it. There's a strength there. There's a ball of potential that needs to be tapped into, but it can't be tapped into after the fact or before the fact. It can't be tapped into. It happens Seder night. And because of that, that's why our prep time leading up to Seder night is so essential. We can't waste that opportunity. We have things that we ourselves want to be freed from. We have things that hold us back. We have things that are shackling us down and don't allow us to be our best self or holding us back, right? Or things that are making us into and really the version of ourselves that we hate seeing. We can't stand it, right? The list can go on, and we need to make these lists about ourselves. We need to not to make the list. We need to come up with a few things that we say, look, I know this is the time of being freed, to no longer being subjugated, to no longer this servitude, this slavery that we have to ourselves, to others, to our emotions, to our physical aspects of ourselves, whatever it might be. This is the time. And Seder night has the ability, Seder night and really the whole Pesach, but it starts with Seder night. And I think it's so interesting that Seder night, we sit down and go through this. It's a long experience. I do not recommend this book that's out that's called the 30-minute Seder. Are you joking? You're gonna go ahead and take this opportunity and do it in 30 minutes? This is an opportunity of a lifetime. You're never gonna get this Seder night back. This Seder night is not coming back. It's now or never. This Seder, yes, there'll be other Seders, right? But the opportunities that stand in front of us in a week and a half from now, it can't happen in a month from now or next Pesach. It's now. So Seder night, when we sit down, right, really you have to prep it beforehand to make sure that we know, okay, what are we aiming for? What is the journey that we're going on? What's the destination I want to get to? How am I going to use the spaceship of Pesach to get me to fly high, to set me up to land on the island, the moon, whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish? And the gasoline for that, the fuel for it, is fueled by Passover night. So we need to know where we're going. We got to put in the prep. We have to make a plan, how we're going to do this, how we're going to accomplish this. And guess what? If we're not sure how the Pesach Haggadah, we're not sure how that Haggadah experience is going to get us there, then we need to look there, because Hashem is telling us, God is telling us, the Torah is telling us that Seder night, when it happens, that's the roadmap. The Haggadah is the roadmap to accomplish this, to go from servitude, bondage to freedom. We go through that experience. We reenact it, right? We reenact it, but it's not just a reenactment, right? I remember one time my dad and I went to a reenactment. I think maybe it was Manassas, maybe whatever it was. I was talking to one of the actors or reenactors, and I kept trying to talk to him as if he was a person that was standing in front of me right then. Like, yeah, it's 1998, right? Like we could talk like 1998, but this person, right? He wasn't in 1998. He wasn't. He was in 1860. And when I talked to him, his responses were all in 1860, right? That's who he was. He was living it, right? And when he went to that battle, when he stepped on that battlefield, he was fighting the war. He was in the Battle of Manassas. He wasn't somebody who was 1998 looking back on Manassas. He was walking with his musket, and he was ready to win that battle. That's what he was. And that's what we do. It's not just that we are going to step into the world of this unbelievable balance of stepping into the world of slavery and servitude, being servants, being subjugated, being in bondage. And then we're going to have moments of royalty where we get to experience the freedom. We start, right, this is what we're going to go through. And that's part of our questions we ask, the Manashtana, right? If you start to look at the Passover Seder in this fashion, this unbelievable balance of free, we do things that are signs of freedom. We do things that are signs of servitude. And as we go through this experience, by the time we get to the end, we're singing the songs to God because God performed the plagues for us. God took our henties and he walked us out of Egypt. He did this for us. And this is what he's doing for us on Seder night. He's going to help us walk towards being our best selves. That's what Seder night is. That's what we try to accomplish Seder night. That's what we can accomplish Seder night. And if we don't get all the way there, it's that we started the journey. And thanks God, we have 8 days. Really more than that. It extends all the way to Shavuot, this experience of Pesach, this experience of separating ourselves from the things that hold us back, the ego, the Yetzer Hara, right? That chametz that just builds up and creates this blockage and this plaque that we just can't connect to who we really want to be and who we really are. And we start off with our amazing detox, right? The intense detox of the removal of all chametz. Yes, we go over the top sometimes. It may seem like that. We got to get this out of our system. And because we're physical beings, we need to do something physical for us to start doing something spiritual. We need to do that. And if we don't act, we don't physically get out there and do something, dig deep, right? And start scratching away at the surface, take out your spoons and your feather, and you start digging into nooks and crannies and start looking around, and you spend a little extra cash because you got to have that Pesach food, right? The matzah, right? It's got to be done. There's got to be, it's so much intensity and intent that gets put into our matzah, right? The list goes on, right? I still have dirt underneath my nail. I showered more than once already since Friday. I cleaned my big van on Friday, right? The big van, clean it, and that's it. It's still there. I can't get it off. I got to keep doing more things. Got to work harder to get the grime off of me, right? This is what I got to do. This is what we're doing on Pesach, right? And if we just walk into Seder night or fly into Seder night without going ahead and going through the process of Passover cleaning, Pesach cleaning, the process of finding that chametz, the process of going ahead and burning that chametz. We're going to burn it. Get this out of here, incinerating it. I don't want this, right? And then going to go through the process of having this time of prepping for the Seder, right? And then finally we have a prayer service, and then we sit down at the Seder. We're all dressed and ready to rock and roll. If we just waltz into Seder, it's not going to get it. It's going to be so challenging to connect to the holiday in a meaningful, purposeful, deep way that will help us to accomplish the road trip that we're about to go on. You can't just walk in with a half-empty tank, quarter of a tank, eighth of a tank, right? You didn't work out your muscles and you're going to go to a Spartan race or an obstacle course run, your muscles are not ready for it. And then you pay the price the whole week afterwards, like I did, right? So this is what we're doing. This is what we are trying to accomplish.
Wow.
Okay, that was my intro. What did I actually want to talk about? Okay. Should I press pause and not share the other ideas? Do you want to talk about this first? Is that fair? Should we say we're going to talk about this first?
You can't just toss some depth and weight like that on us and just tell us we're moving on to the next topic?
Fine, I'll dig deeper. Should we dig deeper into this? All right, here we go. We'll dig deeper. I'll switch modes. Here we go. Let's keep talking about this prep for Pesach. Okay. Now, a lot of us know this. If you don't know this, it's really important to stop and think about it. Okay. What is chametz all about? What is this chametz? This removal of the chametz, right? Let's just bring out two ideas real quick. Okay. Inside of the Beis Hamikdash, the offerings that were brought inside the temple back in the day. Okay. There was almost never chametz in those offerings. Very rarely was there chametz. One of the times that we have chametz is on the holiday of Shavuot. Holiday of Shavuos, they have something called the Shtei Halechem, the two breads. They had two special breads that were brought on the holiday of Shavuos in the Beis Hamikdash. They had those breads. Okay. Now let's look at these bookends over here. We start off the holiday of Pesach, and our service of Pesach is the removal of chametz. We are going to remove that leavened bread, 11 items from our home. We don't want to see it. We don't want to smell it. We don't want to own it. We don't want to even see the crumbs of it. Gone. And then, holiday of Shavuos, we then go ahead and do the rare occasion of having service be done with chametz. What's going on? On the second night of Pesach, we start something called, we count the Omer. Okay, we count the Omer every single night, starting from the second night of Pesach all the way to the holiday of Shavuos. Make a blessing and we count out the days. We count the days from the second day of Pesach all the way until Shavuos. So obviously there's some connection over here between Pesach and Shavuos. But we need to think about this. On the beginning of it, on Pesach, our service is to remove all that chametz. And on the holiday of Shavuos, we celebrate with chametz. What's going on? Okay, so here we go. What are we doing with this chametz business? What's going on? So as we know, chametz, we mentioned in passing a minute or two ago, we talk about what's the difference between bread and matzah? Yes, one is baked in 18 minutes, yes. But let's look at them. Let's look at the physical difference over here, right? Matzah, no matter what kind of matzah you're going to have, it's flat, right? Didn't have a chance to rise. Bread, we want fluffy bread. We want the bread that's got nice and airy, lots of bubbles in there, right? Whatever kind of bread you like to eat. You want it to be either fluffy, you want it to be airy, right? And it's supposed to be that way. You want it to rise. It needs to go through a rising process. Now, what is the symbolism of the rising process or the puffed out bread? That's the ego. That's the Yetzer Hara. That's that evil guy. That's what chametz is all about. Chametz is this process of letting things rise, putting lots of air in there, lots of falsehood, empty spaces, right? Things that look big and huge, but in fact, really, you take it and you smush it like that, and it can go all the way down to be the small little thing. Why? There's so much falsehood there, but it looks so big and delicious and awesome and exciting. That is
delicious.
What? Sorry?
It is delicious.
It is delicious. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of things are very sparkly, right? Lots of glitz and glamour out there, right? We all have our things. They look so good, and they might even taste good for a short period of time, right? But how long do they really last? Okay, they stick to your gut. That they do, right? But most of these kinds of things, the Yetzer Hara, right, the evil inclination, the ego, the selfishness, the ignorance, the attitude, the midos, right? All the things that we would put in our list of bad attributes, or it could be endeavors that we put on the bad list, right? The evil list. That is what chametz is all about. And what do? We say, look, this journey is challenged right now. I'm so far from being who I want to be. And you know what's holding me back? All these things are holding me back. I don't know if anyone's ever done a detox, a diet detox. I don't know if you've ever done it. I'm not saying I recommend it. I'm not saying it's the healthiest thing. A lot of people get very sick when they do detoxes. But the concept of a detox, of this swing, is where you go ahead and you remove all of these things, all of the foods, all of whatever it might be, right? You need to go ahead. You could pick your analogy that works for you. It could be something that a person feels addicted to, right? You need to remove that. Totally remove it. And then slowly, depends what the thing is, you need to learn how to live your life either with it in moderation, or you need to learn to live your life without this item in it at all, because this is not something that I need in my system. I don't need this in my life. This is something that's only causing damage to me and holding me back. So what do? We start off with a complete and total removal of it. And we have 8 days to go ahead and live life without it. But then we have to say, okay, now we're going to step into, quote unquote, the real world. We got to deal with the realities. But because we spent time in the beginning of it without it, we're going to slowly introduce it back into our lives. Or we're going to slowly step off of the Pesach island and start to go back and live life in the way that it normally is. And our job is, based off the energy that we got over Pesach, to understand about how to do this either in a modified fashion or how do I live my life without this, and go on this journey that started on Pesach and travel over the course of these 49 days, which is physically when the Jewish nation left Egypt and they are traveling to Mount Sinai to become the Jewish people. They are slowly removing the Egypt experience from themselves. They left Egypt. They had a table of, they were the kings on Passover night, right? They took the god of the Egyptians. They slaughtered it and they ate it. They took a Paschal lamb, Seder night. They even took the blood of it and put it on their houses, right in your face. This was the epitome. They were saying, Egypt, you have no control over me anymore. I am going free. I am going on the journey to becoming me, not the one that you want to subjugate and control. I'm becoming me. We, the Jewish people, are becoming us who we're supposed to be. We're not going to be held back anymore by all of your crazy ideologies. Egypt was the most immoral country in the world. They were so steeped. They were so stooped in idolatry, in things that were immoral, the things that were inappropriate there. What was considered to be great there was the total opposite of what Judaism's all about. They celebrated the sun, which is the symbolism of no change. There's no God involved here. It's all coincidence, just happens. That's the exact opposite of who we are. So they started that journey Passover night and started physically journeying towards Mount Sinai, towards becoming their best self. Day by day, level by level, they went from the depths of the 49th level of spiritual impurity all the way up to the highest level over here, the 49th level of greatness. This is what they did. This is how they traveled along that. And that's what we do, the same thing. And you know what we do at the end when we get to the holiday of Shavuos? We wave our flag of victory. We say, hey, look, we're going to take chametz and show you Hashem how chametz. We've learned how to control our physicality. We've learned how to take the physical world and make it part of our spiritual journey because we control it. We've learned how to harness the beauty and the potential of the physical body, the physical activities. We've learned how to control. The Yetzer Hara wants to make us manipulate us. We've learned how to harness those energies. We talked earlier in the Mesilas Yesharim about this idea, right? We've learned how to take those energies and use them as part of our spiritual journey. So we take the bread, the chametz, and we say, God, we're ready to use the bread, the challah. We're going to use this as our offering because we got this. We figured out how to do this. We figured out how to take this thing that was holding us back and make it part of our journey. We celebrate our physicality because we recognize that our physicality is what's going to be our vehicle towards success while we're in this world. We don't go ahead and say, no, we're going to no physicality at all. We're not going to enjoy those quote unquote pleasures in life. No. We're supposed to be physical people. We are physical people. We celebrate physicality. We celebrate all these things. Yes, enjoy a good meal, but don't forget to say Kiddush beforehand. Don't forget that your table is an altar, right? We take our physical world and we make it part of our journey. That's who we are. As a Jewish people, we learn how to do this, and we have the mitzvos to guide us in how to do that. Right? We do celebrate the physical world, right? We get out and enjoy the world. The world's an amazing place. If God didn't want us to celebrate the physical world, he would have made everything black and white. But he didn't. He made it colorful and vibrant and exciting because he wants us to enjoy our time here. He wants us to learn how to use our time here. But we're not just supposed to go ahead and suppress it and put it away and say, I don't want any of that. In fact, when we get up to heaven, one of the things they're going to ask us is, did we enjoy our time in this world? Did we use the physical world as part of our spiritual journey? Did we indulge ourselves? Did we dig in here and there? Did we enjoy the beautiful things in the world? Because we don't go ahead and abstain from them. We just need to learn how to use them and recognize the potential within them to be part of our spiritual journey, to help us be a catalyst or a vehicle for us to learn about ourselves and to become our best selves. So on Shavuos, we take that chametz, right? We take the ego that we have, an ego. If we learn how to control our ego, right, we can accomplish amazing things. We're not supposed to look at ourselves as all the time as if we're nothing. No, we have a self, a really important self. And when we can learn that about ourselves and learn who we are and learn how to use our egos in a positive, constructive, growing fashion. Yeah, we have amazing skills that I have things that I can do that other people can't do. So I need to learn how to recognize that about myself and then help others with it. Help myself with it. Find the balance within humility. Right? The list can go on. We can go through every single attribute that we might have. Talked about last week, we talked about anger versus passion. Right? I've got a lot of passion. And when I use it properly, when I harness the energy of my passion, right? I get myself psyched and get the whole room psyched. Right? You can't stop me if I'm passionate about something and it's the right thing to do and I'm psyched about it. Good luck getting in my way. I'm scoring that touchdown. Get out the way. But if I don't harness the energy of that passion, and I allow it to control me as opposed to me controlling it, it could turn into anger. And then I can destroy a world. I can destroy a room. I can destroy the mood. Can make it the worst trip ever if I'm in a bad mood. Right? This is who we are. And this is what we try to accomplish with the experience of going ahead and separating totally the beginning of Pesach and then learning how to use it over the course of our 8 days and then through the journey of the Omer to get ourselves to the celebration of Shavuos, where we're ready to stand there and say to Hashem, Na'aseh v'nishma, we're ready to be ourselves. Bring it on. Why? We are here to do the service of Hashem. We're here to be our best selves, God. We are standing at that mountain and we're ready to go ahead and re-accept the Torah. We are ready to take the things that are going to help us to take on the journey of life through the rest of the year. Carry on Shavuos, carry that all the way through to Rosh Hashanah time, and then Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot, and the beautiful cycle that we have of the Jewish calendar, which is built in. It's all built in there to be our checkpoints, our milestones along the way, the checkpoint of giving us those energies as we travel through our year. And that's what we try to accomplish. That's what Pesach is all about. That's what the experience of the connection of Pesach to Shavuos, that's what we're trying to get ourselves started on, get the journey started with the Pesach Seder. But it really, like we said before, it's got to start beforehand. We got to start thinking about it now if we want to go ahead and get on that journey. We got to go ahead. We talk about the triptych, much who gave that analogy to, right? We got to go ahead and we got to call up AAA and order from them the triptych to make sure that we can accomplish the Pesach experience. We got to get online, right? Get out the books that help focus our energies, get us in a good place, understand what we're looking for. What are the rest stops along the way? Where are the fuel stations along the Pesach journey? What are the fuel stations on Pesach night? Right? What are the things that are going to give us the energy that we need so that we can accomplish? And we have 15 steps of energy on the Seder night. 15 steps of the Pesach Seder are all things that are helping us to recognize, to use those in our journey as we when we finish the holiday and start to go into regular lives. We've got those 15 steps to guide us along the journey. That's the keep on going, but that's the spiel. All right. I'll press pause so anyone can